Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to continue as promised to take some of these compounds that have been up on the podium or down in the honorable mentions section of our cutting compound series. We're going to take them out into the shop, do some real world work with them besides the initial testing we did in the previous videos for this series. Today in particular, we're going to take a closer look at the CarPro Clear Cut. I have a car prepped, ready to go in the bay. Let's head out and get some work done. The Jeep has been washed, clayed, IP wiped, completely prepped for correction. It's here because of damage from car washes, especially heavier on the front and the rear of the car. The driver's side, passenger side, and the top of the car not quite as bad. So I'm going to use two different methods to go about bringing this Jeep back to perfection. And in these situations, that's where I'll go grab the CarPro Clear Cut. Here you can get a good shot of the damage from the wraps inside the car wash that have most of the pressure on the front and the car as the vehicle is going through the wash itself. The hood and the roof, as well as the driver's side and passenger side, have contact marks, or love marks as I call them, and we're going to take care of them as well. Okay, and just like all corrections, I'm going to pick a test spot and do a quick run with the combination of the compound, the pad, and the polisher. And I'm going to do it on an area where I can use the light and show you guys how it turns out. CarPro Clear Cut is 16 ounces for $24.99. It has no fillers. It starts out on the panel as a white cream and quickly turns into a transparent, opaque color so you can keep an eye on the work on the panel as you're doing some passes. Hardly any dusting whatsoever, as we saw in the initial testing. It doesn't quite have the bite as some of the top performers on the podium, but this does a decent job and also finishes down pretty far. You also noticed on the hood I had a microfiber cutting pad and a polishing pad ready to go. On the sides, the driver's side, passenger side, the hood, and the roof, I'm going to try and get away with just a microfiber polishing pad using the CarPro Clear Cut and maybe making a pass or two. Let's take a test run on the fender here and see how it goes. Then I'll use the more aggressive microfiber cutting pad for the front and the rear, or I may just go with a standard orange foam cutting pad. If you're wondering why start with the microfiber polishing pad instead of the cutting pad and just get rid of those marks and get it over with quickly, well, I always want to start with the least aggressive method first. And if by doing so, the polishing pad, microfiber polishing pad, removes those marks, it will also finish it much further than the microfiber cutting pad, so I have less work to do after my initial pass around the vehicle. I'll just then jump to Angel Wax Perfect Polish and bring out some good clarity and lay on protection. We're using a long throw polisher. I have it on mid-speed, just below mid-speed. I have a little bit more pressure than I normally do for a microfiber cutting pad, and that's just for the first pass. Then I'll lighten up the load and let the compound and the pad finish. And if I haven't mentioned before, if I'm doing a correction and there's nobody else in my area doing work, I'm going to have the lights dimmed down except for the light that is exposing the panel that I'm working on. It's just a personal preference. I find it the best way to see all the imperfections on the panel that I'm correcting, and I'll just adjust and move the light as I go from panel to panel. I know it makes it much harder for you guys to see when I'm doing videos, so I do bring up the light just a bit. So I apologize if it's hard for you guys to see when I'm doing these videos indoors. I'm going to be upgrading to a new camera shortly, so hopefully that helps. And as we saw in the initial testing, the product has a very long cycle time, very little dusting, so you can keep working the product until the abrasives are completely finished, and you'll actually be finished down. You'll be surprised at how far this compound finishes down, and it's just ready for a very ultra fine polish to prep and clean for protection. Okay, I think that's going to do it. So let me remove the residue, which by the way is light and it's very easy to remove. The product is user friendly. Then I'll grab the camera, bring you guys in, and we'll see if this does the trick, which would be great because it's going to cut down on a lot of time. And then I just need something more aggressive for the front and the rear of the car. And as you can see here, it did a wonderful job. You can see the marks here, the love marks in the door. In the fender, completely removed. We can move on. And it's really finished down pretty far. Has a nice gloss to it, not much of a haze. So let's go to the back of the car. And I think what I'm going to do back here is I'm going to grab my 3-inch polisher and we're going to attach a 3-inch standard foam cutting pad. Obviously, doing it this way, we're going to have to follow up with some type of polishing pad after we're finished with the orange foam cutting pad. As the product comes out of the bottle and is spread over the panel you're going to work on, it is the creamy white texture, but as you make a pass or two, it turns clear and transparent, so you can keep an eye on progression as you're making passes on the panel you're working on. That's going to do it. Keeping an eye on the panel through that transparent compound as we were making passes, you can easily see when the damage or the defects or the imperfections or blemishes have been removed. You can then stop, remove the residue. All you're going to have left is a little bit of hazing. Okay, and to get rid of that hazing and match these panels with the rest of the car that has been corrected, we're going to take off the orange foam cutting pad, put on a polishing pad, and I'm still going to use the CarPro Clear Cut. It's going to finish down much further and actually match perfectly with the rest of the car, so I can take the Angel Wax Perfect Polish, do a pass, and we're ready for protection. That's going to do it. Now the whole vehicle, all the panels are now uniformed and we're ready for the next step. So I went ahead, I corrected the rear of the vehicle with the orange foam cutting pad and then switched over to the polishing pad, and all the damage from the car wash is gone. And when everything was said and done, it was corrected with CarPro Clear Cut, followed up by Angel Wax Perfect Polish. All the damage, the heavy damage in the front and the back, and then the lighter damage on the sides and the top of the car, they're gone, and the Jeep looks great again. Okay, gang, again, that was the CarPro Clear Cut. A wonderful compound, and yes, it may not have the aggressive bite that some of the top compounds do on our podium on the series. However, it finishes down really far, and you can use the compound in many situations depending on what pad you choose. If you have any questions at all on what we did today, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. Catch you in the next video.